You had mentioned what you say in meetings, and I had wanted to talk a little bit about that, about leadership styles. I know that in my job, the higher up I get up in meetings, higher level meetings, the fewer women there are, and I'm often the only woman. And so I just wonder if you find that to be similar, you've had similar experience with that, and does that change your leadership style at all, or not? What's it like being in those kind of meetings, and is that changing?
Well, I could say something small. I actually have a blessing at my job where most of the women, it's pretty split, but I do a lot of international work, and most of the leadership in the international world is male-dominated. And I call myself the ego manager, because I go out and it's me and the 8 guys, and we're like fighting about something. And I think the reason my manager and I were both women, and we've talked about, we think we might be the best people for this job because we're girls, because we're women, because we're able to not evoke this ego in them that says you're coming here to put the smack down. Instead, they say you're coming here and you're just going to be so nice, and you're going to make it feel like it's better. And I had a very high director tell another guy here, he said, yeah, Bridget came, she spent 2 weeks with us, and we had a great time, even though the outcomes were not what she wanted, or what we wanted. And it was actually the best interest of all the projects going on. But it's an interesting reality, is I've seen both sides, where I've sat in boardrooms or meetings in Alcoa where it's very male-dominated, I'm the only girl, and I'm in marketing, so that makes sense because I can make things pretty. But now at Google, it's more that I realize there's some benefits in some of my roles to being a woman, that I can get the results, but I can get them in a different way, and maintain a lot of relationships that other people, and actually men, could not do as well.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I think as a female journalist, it's given me some access to key figures to interview, and I'm covering a field that's very male-dominated, venture capital and entrepreneurship globally, a lot in Asia. It is very male-dominated, and so I think I sort of stand out when I'm in a conference, or I'm covering a conference, or I'm asking for an interview. I think it is an advantage that can play to your advantage, at least in the field that I'm in. And in terms of meetings, since I'm independent, I don't have a lot of meetings, thank goodness. But I have strategy sessions with myself every morning. and the beauty of those is that they're over very quickly. I make decisions really quickly. I say, okay, that's the agenda for today. And that's it.
That's great.
Well, certainly it was my experience to almost always be the only woman in the room in my business career. And I have to say, it's wonderful now to be dealing mostly in our organization with women. So there's that contrast. But I think it gets back to what you were saying before about being yourself. Okay, I think that it's all about your actually bringing your feminine self into the room. I have a wonderful, loving husband and 4 kids. And I would be debating what to wear to some, elaborate business function, and my husband would say, "Wear the red dress." Okay. And it was a great dress. Okay. And then I also think, you also have to represent that voice in the room. So Amdal Corporation, when we did our turnaround, we downsized from 10,000 people to 6,000. So we let 40% of the company go. And about 6 months later, we decided to be brave and do a climate survey. And I got put in charge of it. I think the HR VP didn't want to do it, so leave it up to somebody on the strategy side. We did the survey, and it came back, and guess what? It was really terrible. Well, that was no surprise, So we had a big meeting in the boardroom. And I tried to get all of the people around the table to kind of say what they had found, et cetera, what we should do. And none of the people were really responding. So I said, well, let's do this. And I already had the president, and okay, he was okay with this. We're going to go out. Each one of us is going to go out somewhere in the world and hold 4 sessions, so 4 small group sessions. And they're going to be structured such that we get to listen to what the people really are thinking. And we did. In 2 weeks, all of us went to various places in the world, locally in Europe and Asia and stuff, and we came back. And my first question when we got back together again was, how did it feel? Okay, how did it feel? And that was my question to ask as the woman in the room. And believe me, it got them right in the gut. And they could really say it felt horrible to sit across from these people whose friends and compatriots are now no longer with the company. And that was the break that really got us to start moving towards rebuilding a lot of what was happening in the company. So I say bring yourself, and particularly your feminine self, to the business world. It isn't 2 separate lives.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't see it changing that much. I have a standing bet with a friend of mine that there'll be more women CEOs. Within a certain amount of time, I'm going to lose that bet, but I made it anyway. It's different working for a company that's based in China. I'm used to being the only woman in the room. Now I'm the only woman in the room whose native language is English, who is a citizen. I realize that in 90% of the meetings, I'm the only U.S. citizen, because we have people from all over the world, which is normal for the Silicon Valley, but then you also have all the people from China, so you sort of, it's very diverse to the point of Silicon Valley normal diversity is nothing compared to diversity in a company that's based in China, but it also means that I'm not as stuck in Silicon Valley normal. So Silicon Valley normal, which is that you scream at people when you want to get something done, and you be a jerk because that's the only thing that wins is being a jerk. And working for a company where respect and politeness are the way you're supposed to behave, and that people actually do better if they know how to behave, has been lovely. There are many things about the Chinese culture which resonate beautifully with the female side of American culture. And I think that I'm actually, I have a group that we're putting together a panel presentation for the Hopper Conference, which will be in October, and the panel presentation proposals are due on the 15th. So we've been meeting for a couple of weeks to write this all out. And in our brainstorming session last week, one of the distinguished engineers said, working as a woman in a Chinese company is the first time she's ever worked in a company where being a woman was an advantage, because she knows how to behave. And the guys don't. American guys don't know how to behave. And women do. So it's like, that's so cool, I'm sorry, I'm being rude, but it's true.
But that's very interesting what you say, because you talk about the Chinese culture. I think it's more communal.
It's communal. It's respectful. It's polite. They respect people. They expect you to behave properly.
Yeah. So if you get all men, they all want to compete with one another, right? So that power struggle. Always.
So I want to save time for questions from the audience, but I can't resist this. So when you're traveling around the world like this, and it is all men, do you go out for drinks afterwards with the guys, or you got to go back to your hotel room and watch TV?
I always go out for drinks, but I invite everyone. So it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. I invite everyone.
I don't go for drinks at home. Why would I go out for drinks when I'm traveling?
Yeah, I mean, you are part of the, that society.
Community, yeah.
Right. So I could ask many more questions, but I really want to make sure that each of you get to ask your question.